Solution, baby. Crash. All right, welcome everybody.
Hello.
Let's get ready to rumble.
All you Gramaniacs out there. I'm Graham.
And I'm Ashkahn.
Today's question is, what happens to the Float Conference now that you're not hosting it anymore? Do you know where it will be next year?
Very mysterious. I don't know.
You mean we're mysterious?
I don't know how we're going to find the answer. Who would
see.
even know the answer to a question like that?
Yeah, maybe we just turn it right back on the audience, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
Luckily, so we're in touch with the people who used to run the Float Conference.
Sorry, is my scoff coming across that microphone loud enough?
Okay, so you may have heard some rumors or directly received an email from us saying that we're not hosting the Float Conference anymore. For a little bit of context, we put on the first Float Conference in 2012, did it 7 times, and just recently finished up our most recent one in 2018 in August. So.
Yep, and if you want to check it out and you're not familiar with it, head on over to floatconference.com. There's all the videos from past years up there for free, and this year's videos will be coming out pretty soon, including a talk where we go into a lot of depth about exactly what we're hopefully planning for the Float Conference future. So
yeah, we gave a whole talk at the conference specifically about our plans and you know why we've decided to kind of stop being the people organizing it and where it's headed and all that sort of stuff. So that should be online. You can go to floatconference.com/videos and take a look at that for a much more longer form explanation of what the heck we're thinking.
And sillier too. We're in tuxedos and yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time.
But you know, to fill you guys in, basically, we decided to kind of, you know, it's a huge project and it takes up a good chunk of our time over the course of a year to do all the organizing necessary to put on an event like that. And it's been like an absolute thrill and pleasure to do all these years, but we're just kind of not people who like doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it's against our nature.
We really like doing new projects. We like changing things up. And so for us, you know, to do something for 7 years just brought our minds to a place of thinking maybe this was, you know, time for us to kind of switch things up or devote our time to other things. So it was largely a personal decision and a decision to dedicate kind of our time and resources to other projects we have going on, like our Helm software and stuff like that. And really, I mean, it was mostly that our intros are getting off to the point that I think we're going to get a record deal and start touring around with them pretty soon. So that's really going to be taking up a lot of time.
Yeah, and I guess another, other than the intros taking up more time, I should say, another part of this is just we're also kind of attached to the things that we create and really proud of them. So we didn't just want the Float Conference to totally cease to exist. Like the goal in us not doing it was not to have the conference not happen. So we kind of made this whole plan to turn it into a nonprofit and turn it over to the float industry.
So it's, you know, it's an ambitious plan. Like we're taking something that has been run just by us, and it's a lot easier to run things yourself as a private company because you can just decide things and make them happen.
Because you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you're basically a dictator, and it's so much easier to be efficient.
In our case, silly, benevolent dictators. But
and in this case, we're turning it into something that we're hoping is more a collaborative effort amongst people who run their own float centers, geographically separated, and you know all that stuff kind of adds friction to the system and makes things more difficult. So we should really preface everything by saying we're not really entirely sure this is going to work. But
there are the best intentions and some good plans,
but we've put a decent amount of thought into it, and I think we've come up with a general path forward that I hope will work, and I feel like has the foundation to work.
We've read some very promising looking tea leaves. Yeah.
Yeah, my hair is like swooping to the direction of success, I think.
I got a really promising fortune cookie as well the other day.
4 vultures have been circling me everywhere I go for the last 3 weeks.
I don't know, that's a bad sign.
That's a bad sign?
Vultures circling?
Interesting.
You doing okay? Are you taking vitamins?
Been tired. Here's our plan. Here's the plan. The plan is we're turning it into an actual, nonprofit entity, and we're trying to take the work involved in putting the event on and kind of splitting it into some distinct groups that we thought would be necessary to actually make sure both all the work that needs to happen actually happens, and there's still the kind of like float insight and expertise involved in making these decisions that I think has led to the Float Conference being kind of an event that feels right for the industry. And to do that, we've broken things into basically a couple different groups of people. So we're hoping to put together, or we are putting together a board, like nonprofits have.
like everyone has.
Like everyone, I think you have to have one.
Just like a real organization.
Yeah, it's all going to be super real. So we have a nonprofit board, and that board is made up of people that have that sort of deep float knowledge, people who are big names in the industry, run big centers, have been around for some years. And I feel like that's an important part of putting on an event like this is some people in these positions making decisions who are really like intimately familiar with the needs of the float world and what would be good for this kind of industry event.
Yeah, and star power.
And just your pure celebrity appeal, yeah. But the kind of natural problem is like literally the group of people who have that kind of deep experience and insight are the same people who are the busiest and don't have time to be doing something like putting on a conference. And so what we've tried to do is really restrict the responsibilities of the board to being people who just get to like share their insights and
star power.
Yeah. Basically, they're just going to give us photos of themselves to use on things, and won't really be evolved past that. But so our vision of the board is that they'll be making much higher level decisions, like what city the event will be moving to and what speakers will be giving presentations, and whether to maybe change the structure of things or those kind of things that are
tracks or single track.
Yeah, that's stuff that will keep the event kind of organically responding to the industry's needs and keep it being kind of a well-informed event to be put on. And as soon as someone actually has to do those things that they're just sharing opinions on, it basically is not their responsibility anymore. Because I just don't think people like in that position will actually have the time to enact any of those ideas. And so then for that other side of things, we basically have, in kind of two chunks. One chunk is our employees and the people who have been helping us put this event on over the years. We have
call this
members.
just to rewind slightly. This would be like the operational side. So if the board is the decision maker, kind of like steering the broad course, there's also just all the little things that actually need to get done on the ground, all the actual work, and along with those, a lot of small to medium sized decisions that the board just doesn't have time for and honestly doesn't need to spend time on. And
a lot of that just has to do with like event planning, getting hotel contracts and finding venues and dealing with attendee data and
planning
name tag printing, like that sort of stuff, right? So we have people who've been working with us over the years to do that sort of stuff and have been a part of the Float Conference.
Way more competent than we are too.
Yeah. The people who have been making us look good. And they're going to be staying on and continuing to help with that. So there's a continuity of kind of that sort of information and effort there. And then the other piece of the puzzle is basically the rest of the float industry. You guys, like you listening to this right now.
Yeah.
And
you can help.
Yeah, you can.
And it'll be great. You'll love it. We'll love it. Everyone will have a great time.
Yeah, basically there's just so many moving pieces that go into events. There's just things like web design and graphic design and
copywriting,
and dealing with sponsorships.
Sponsors. Yeah. We need sponsors at the same time. That's kind of...
So all that sort of work is stuff that is useful for people to contribute to. It's going to help make the event more realistic to put on every year if people are able to volunteer their effort to go into that work. Otherwise, to pay for all that stuff just takes a lot more cost, and will raise the cost of tickets and all that sort of stuff. So we're hoping that people can chip in, and if they have some sort of expertise with something, like if before you opened a float center, you did photography and want to like come to the conference and be the photographer this year, or if you know, have a background in sales and want to help sell sponsorships, like that's all really valuable and helpful work, and it's something that you can do to contribute to this event and kind of help the float industry have an event like this and keep the kind of price for everybody down a little bit by volunteering or maybe getting paid, but for a rate much lower than you would expect out of being a professional in that field, because you're trying to be nice and help out this nonprofit.
And it's everything, you know. Often we need ushers for things. We need people who are great with lifting with their legs to help us move float tanks. Yeah, there's kind of no end of. So I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't have to be a specifically trained or professional role that you're volunteering. Although, yeah, again, having things like if you're a lawyer or CPA reaching out to help us with, you know, books and the legal side of things is awesome. Just the same, helping us just put materials into tote bags, helping us pre-string name tags so they're ready to go when people show up day of. Things like that are also incredibly helpful.
Yep. And this is really the main thing we have been asking for and asked for in our conference talk too, is, you know, reach out to us, get in touch and let us know if you want to help. And we're still putting the kind of foundation of this thing together, so we might not come back right away and be like, here's 10 things you can do. But we're trying to build up a group of people that as the year goes on, we can reach out to and say, hey, you know, we're looking for someone who can help with this over the next month, or we're looking for someone who can kind of help with this part of the conference who's coming out. And so if you email us at conference@floathq.com and tell us you're interested, or we have a little mailing list going that I can send you back a link to, where we'll just be making updates on the progress of this nonprofit and how it's forming and letting people know when we do need help. It's definitely great and super appreciated, and will be very much appreciated when this event gets put on and everyone gets to come and have a fun time.
Yeah, well, I'll make a giant macaroni poster together. It'll be amazing. And I will say one of the coolest things about giving this talk at the conference, I mean, giving up anything that you're doing is to be honest, just kind of a scary thing. And it's always bittersweet. You know, I was thinking very concretely of like when I'd build Legos when I was a kid, and then there'd come this day where it'd be the great Lego reckoning, and I'd destroy all the Lego creations that I'd done so that they could be reformed into something new. And I was thinking about that approaching the conference. But after we gave our talk and said the same thing, just for people to reach out, the amount of people reaching out, both with just heartfelt messages, with offers of help, with pretty much, you know, a lot of people just saying, hey, anything you need a hand with, let me know, was so overwhelming. It just gave me a great sense of pride for our community and a great confidence that going forward, I feel like this thing could actually get pulled off really well.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Yeah, thanks everyone. You give me the warm fuzzies all over.
There was another part to the question. What city will it be?
Oh, we don't know. I have no idea.
We don't know. Like there's a couple cities that I think are high on my personal list of places for it to go. I mean, I guess we should start by saying this is going to move cities for the first time. It's been in Portland every single year.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And it's actually going to kind of move around from place to place. And it's kind of while we have ideas of what we think is good, one of the things that I'm excited about is basically not having us be the people making these decisions. Like this conference for all these years has been a lot of us deciding things, and we try to really keep that in mind and realize that it's our opinions influencing this, and try to kind of pull that back and be more representative of a general kind of more floaty thing. But at the end of the day, we're humans and we're opinionated.
We like what we like. Yeah,
we like what we like.
I don't know if you noticed from watching or listening to this podcast, we are in fact opinionated humans as well. Yeah.
So the idea of going forward and having more input and a group of people providing input and making decisions like what city this is going to be in, or what the speakers are, or what the structure of the very event is going to be like, is kind of exciting to me. It's exciting to me to have this be something that, to watch the Legos be destroyed and rebuilt.
We know it's almost certainly not going to be in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we know.
We can say that like with a good amount of confidence.
Yep.
And yeah, other than that, stay tuned.
Yeah, it'll be really fun. And again, hopefully we hear from you. Did you already tell them if they just want to be updated and they don't want to help out, still go and enter in their email address?
Yeah. I guess I should probably put a place for people to enter this online somewhere. But for now, if you email conference@floathq.com, I can send you, or I can put you on our mailing list that's specifically for updates about the nonprofit. And, you can do that just because you want to stay in the loop and not because you necessarily have time to actually chip in.
Nice. All right. And, of course, as always, if you have your own questions about what we're up to or what our favorite foods are or anything really, head on over to floattanksolutions.com/podcast.
And steak spaghetti. Just to get
Bye,
that
everyone.
one out of the way.
Bye,
All right,
everyone.
bye.
Goodbye.